Jeffrey, am I audible to you? Hello? Jeffrey, am I audible to you?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you have to join.
Say that again. You're coming in. No, you're not coming in. Go ahead.
You'll have to join through Leap ID for you to become host or co-host, for you to share your screen and for you to start. Yeah, I think Pathak would have sent you the link.
Patak, this is what Patak sent me. Ah, okay. Hold on. He sent me some login credentials. Hold on. Okay, hold on.
Hello, Alia. I see you've just joined. Alia, you can type in the chat box if you're here, just a hey or a hi. Hi, Alia. I hope you can hear me. I think I've given you permission to talk as well. Like a quick conversation with each other, would it be easier? Hey there, Alia. I am not able to, communicate with you. If you could just like type it in the chat box. If you're here, if you're not here, I've also given you the permission to speak. So if you would like to ask any questions regarding SATs or admissions, you could let me know. Meanwhile, we'll be starting our master class in just a minute.
All right. Can you guys hear me all right? Are we good? All right.
So could we please share the screen? I think we can start our masterclass in about a minute.
Okay, your audio is a little better. Still a bit echoey though. Okay, how about me? Am I fine? Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, yes, we can absolutely hear you. Not any issues. Alright, so I think we can start our masterclass of the day, and I hope I'm audible correctly. Just
Sorry, what
a
did you
thumbs
say?
up would work.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, I think we can start our masterclass now. It's time, and we can move to the introduction slide.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So welcome everyone to our masterclass today, and today we have Jeffrey Dalton with us. He is a graduate from New York University, and he's graduated in 2006 with a bachelor's in linguistics and language. After college, he has taught English in Lahore, Pakistan for 4 years, where he has helped middle school students develop their literacy in English. After returning to the US, Jeffrey has worked for 2 years as a math and verbal tutor for SAT, ACT, GRE, and GMAT in New York and in New Jersey for a leading international test preparation company before making the shift to Dubai in 2017. As a passionate educator, Jeffrey is currently pursuing his master's in education in curriculum and instruction through Purdue University, and he uses his knowledge as an educator to capably and efficiently guide his students to achieve their targeted score on standardized tests. Having said that, I welcome you, sir, and hope you have an amazing evening with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So, guys, I'm here to tell you a little bit about the SAT and about standardized tests and US admissions in general. So let's just get started. If you're going to be applying to the United States, there are 5 components of your application, and you can see them. I've got them up here on the board. Number 1, you're going to need your high school transcripts.
Sir, I
Go
am
ahead.
so sorry to interrupt.
Not at
There
all.
are some attendees right now in the chat, so I think we should wait till they join in because when you started, there were like some two, but right now there are like 0 attendees.
Oh, okay, sure. So I can just wait a little bit. No problem. I can't really tell. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be able to start with the introduction again.
Sure.
Hi, Edward. I think Edward has just joined. Hi, Edward. How are you doing? Can have a conversation with us in the chat box. Feel free to ping us a hi or a hey so we know you're here. All right. Hey there, Edward. How are you? We'll just be starting our webinar in about a minute or so when other students join in. But meanwhile, Edward, would you like to have a conversation about SATs, about college admissions? If you would, have any doubts that you would want to ask us, please go ahead and ask in the chat box. All right. Um, since you think about your questions, Edward, here's one question for you. Could you tell me which grade you're studying in right now? Which standard? You're in 11th. All right. So you have one more year till you graduate from high school. That is. And Edward, any specific? Okay, cool. Any specific college or university that you want to get admission into? Anything? Okay. And have you decided or narrowed down any field that you want to, pursue in your future? Okay, which one? Let me know which field. Psychology, all right. That's a very interesting field. Psychology and economics. Okay, that's an interesting choice of fields that we've narrowed down. Okay, so Edward, since you've joined this masterclass, I just want to ask if you have a brief about SATs, or would you like me to brief you something about the SAT? or any specific, that would be great. Okay. All right. So today's masterclass is specifically for verbal SAT, but SAT is an exam that is scored out of 1600, and it's, now universities have become test optional. Basically, what that means is that it's not compulsory to give SATs, but we do advise students to further pursue SAT because their scores give you sort of advantage while you get admissions into the university. SAT has two subjects. One is verbal, that is English, and the second one is math. Each have their own specific timings and a specific syllabus. So yeah, that's the overview of SAT, and SATs are accepted worldwide, though they're not compulsory to give. But if you're applying, let's say for UK or for Canada, you will have to give another exam called IELTS. That is a compulsory exam. But other than that, for US, there is no compulsion for any exam that you will have to write. That's the overview of admissions and SAT. I think I helped you there. Could you just, what's the name of the exam for UK? It's called IELTS. It's basically IELTS. It's a compulsory exam you have to give if you want to apply for UK student visa. And Pramesh has just joined. Hi there, Pramesh. How are you doing? Pramesh, you could just ping us in the chat if it's possible, just a hi or a hey. That would be great. And Edward, I hope you noted down the name of the exam I just mentioned. Meanwhile, we'll be starting in just about a minute. Any other questions, Edward, that you would like to ask? Not at the moment. All right. Well, we're here for you throughout the webinar and at the end of the masterclass if you would like us to answer any questions. All right, got it. All right, Edward. So, we talked about you getting into psychology and economics, if that is something that you're looking forward to. Any specific things or interests that you've done to, build your profile according to psychology or according to economics? Something that, let me know something about yourself so that I can, advise you better on which universities will suit the kind of career that you're looking forward for. Let me know in the chat box. Besides academically. Okay. All right, for psychology. Okay, any extracurricular though that you've pursued in your school or in your high school that you're pursuing, sports, let's say, or any clubs that you've joined? Yes, rugby does count. It is a sport, isn't it? All right. So the question that is like basically why I'm asking you this is because when you give your application for your admission, 50% of that is based on your academics. But the next 50% is based on your extracurriculars, and under extracurriculars, it's based on the kind of sports you play, or if you are invested in any clubs. What have you done to build your leadership skills? Or anything in general in extracurricular which is not academically related comes under the next 50%, and that is important. For example, volunteering, internships if you would have pursued any. So all of this kind of gives them a glimpse of your personality and how well you are as an all-rounder. Does affect your application and your admission process. So that's some advice that I would like to give you. If you've not started working on your extracurriculars, I think 11th would be the perfect time to actually think about getting into some extracurriculars. And Alvin James has joined. Hi, Alvin. How are you? Alvin, if you could just ping a hi in the chat box so that I know you're here. We can have a quick conversation and then we can get back to our masterclass. Hi, Alvin. Thank you so much for joining in. All right, guys, I think it's time that we start with our masterclass. We're already running behind clock. I think we can move to the introduction slide. Thank you. So to New York University, and he has graduated in 2006 with a bachelor's in to 2 years as a math and verbal tutor for SAT, ACT, GRE, and GMAT in New York and in New Jersey for a leading international test preparation company before making the shift to Dubai in 2017. As a passionate educator, Jeffrey is currently pursuing his master's in education in curriculum and instruction through Purdue University. He uses his knowledge as an educator to capably and efficiently guide his students to achieve their target scores on standardized tests. With that, I welcome you, sir, and I welcome you all. Hope you all have a lovely day with us.
Thank you so much, Umamoon. So Alvin, Edward, it looks like it's just the three of us today. So I would encourage you guys to ask some questions in the chat as we go through this presentation, because I would like to try to make it as interactive as possible. So let's talk a little bit about US admissions in general before I tell you some specific things about standardized tests. Hi, Alvin, how's it going? If you're going to be applying to the US, you're going to need 5 pieces of your college application. And you can see I've got them up here on the board. Piece number 1 is your high school transcript. These are your grades. This is a reflection of how you did in high school. The other thing you're going to need is your SAT scores, which is what we're going to talk about today for the most part. Now, these 2 pieces of your college application make up the quantitative aspects of admissions. If you're applying to the UK, for example, these are the most important pieces. This is pretty much all that they're going to care about. They're going to ask themselves, can this student hack it? Can he or she do the coursework? And that is what they will largely base their admission decision upon. There will, of course, be essays in the UK and, of course, in the US as well. That is the third component of your application. You'll also need letters of recommendation. You need 2 typically. Some places, some universities will require 3. The 5th thing you're going to need is extracurricular activities. I believe, Edward, you said you do rugby. That's great. That is exactly the kind of thing that will separate you, shall we say, from the pack, that will make you stand out. It is simultaneously confusing, but also simultaneously very logical, in that the US wants to build a well-rounded class of students. So they actually look at who you are as a person. They look at all of these things to make their admissions decision. They don't just look at your SAT scores and your GPA. I'll tell you guys a funny story. I was giving a talk at NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, on, I believe it was standardized testing and US admissions. And the speaker right before me was the Dean of Admissions for NJIT. And he gets up and he says, we just accepted the last student of our incoming freshman class. I think this was 2010, 2012, it was 10 years ago. And he says, yeah, he says, we just accepted the last incoming applicant, the last student coming in next year. He's a trumpet player. And then he waited, because we all had to ask ourselves, wait, what else about this kid? And the dean said, he was like, all the kids had the top scores. All the kids had great SAT scores. They all had glowing letters of recommendation. They all had well-crafted essays, but we didn't have a trumpet player in the incoming freshman class. So we took him. And that really struck me, because it seems arbitrary, and it certainly kind of is, but it is also a reflection of how universities try to build their freshman class. So let's talk about the SAT now, because that is one of the greatest hurdles for students who are looking to apply to do the US and Canada. The SAT consists of 4 sections. You can see them down here. They are reading comprehension, writing and language, which is just English grammar. And then there is a math no calculator section and a math calculator section. You can see reading and writing are scored together from 200 to 800. And the math sections are scored from 200 to 800. And these scores are added together to form the sum or composite, which is that 3 to 4 digit score that everybody is always asking about. I want that perfect 1600, or I need a 1350 to get into whatever university I'm applying to. So Alvin, Edward, thoughts, questions, comments, concerns so far? Okay, good. So Alvin, tell me this, my friend. What's a good score on the SAT? What's a good score on the SAT, Edward? $13.50. Alvin, venture a guess? I'm not sure, just something to make you look good. 1200. Believe it or not, Alvin, that's actually the closest thing to the correct answer. A good score, this is the most common question I get, by the way. And my answer is a good score on the SAT gets you into the college you are applying to. Now, what do colleges actually do with the SAT score? Well, every year, colleges release the incoming freshman classes average SAT score. And here's how they release that data. Let's take a look at my alma mater, New York University, down here. Now, according to this table, 50% of the incoming freshman class had an SAT score between a 1350 and a 1460. 25% of the incoming freshman class had a score below a 1350. 25% had above a 1510. Now, many students say, oh, Jeff, if a quarter of the students got below a 1350, that means I have a chance to get into NYU with my 1200. No, the students with below a 1350 who get in, they're either the first in their family to go to university, which means that their parents are, working class, maybe janitors or street cleaners or something, or the students who get in and have a score below this range are underrepresented minorities from maybe a landlocked African nation with less than 1 million people. Or they're a recruited athlete who plays a sport at a national level. So if you're one of these students, then maybe you have a chance. Now, the interesting thing is that a full 25% of students had above a 1510 in this case. Those students are the ones that receive merit-based scholarships and things like that. So one of the things you want to look at, especially if finances are one of your biggest concerns. Look at George Washington University. Great school, excellent, especially if you want to study something like politics or international relations. Look at their SAT range, 1290 to 1460. So if you had that 1500, which is a remarkable score, top 1%, you might want to target schools like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, which have a 4% acceptance rate. Or you could target a school like George Washington, where you'd be in the top end of the applicants and probably get some good money from universities. It's just a thought. Alvin, Edward, we're good on this slide. Thoughts, questions? Nice, awesome. All right. So you've decided to take the SAT. When are you going to take it? Well, let's say that you guys are graduating in fall of 2023. Let's say that you're going into junior year. That means you're going to have 9 opportunities to take the SAT. And here they are up here on the board. You can take the SAT sometime this fall. In fact, I recommend that you take it this fall in August, October, or December. After that, you'll have 3 Can you take the SAT 9 times, Edward says. I guess you could. No one's going to stop you. It costs about $100 to take it each time. And if you wanted to spend about $1,000 taking the SAT, you could. Is it recommended? Absolutely not. Edward, Alvin, how many times should you take the SAT? Any thoughts? Any ideas? How many times should you take the SAT? 2. Edward says 2. Alvin, 3. 3 is the right answer here, Alvin. To be honest, though, actually, there is no right answer. But 3 is the number I recommend because colleges are never going to look askance or look negatively upon a student who's taken the SAT 3 times. If you take it 4, 5, 6 times, then they're going to start to go, okay, what's this guy doing? But 3 times, no college admissions officer is going to go, oh, well, this kid took the SAT twice, and this guy took it 3 times. I prefer the guy who took it twice. Like, what? Like, no. Universities' rankings are based partially upon the incoming freshman class's average SAT score. They are therefore perversely, what's the word? Incentivized to accept students with higher SAT scores because it increases their ranking. So they generally only care like, oh, you have a good enough SAT score? Check. Okay, the box is checked. What else do you have to show us? Are you a trumpet player? So that's how universities think. So I've said you should take the SAT once in this fall, in August, October, or December. Then you should take the SAT once this spring, or next spring, I should say, in 2023. And finally, you should take the SAT one more time in fall of senior year, right before you send out your college applications. Remember, the majority of college applications are due December 31st, so you can still take the SAT that one final time. And hopefully, of these 3 times you've taken it, we'll see a trending increase in your average score, which is exactly what colleges love to see. So that's the method here. That's the methodology. Alvin, Edward, we're good? Yeah, okay. Awesome. Okay, so this slide's going to require a little bit of interaction from you guys. Now, Edward, Alvin, why do students hate standardized tests so much? Because the SAT tries to trick you. Now, your teachers at high school, they do not try to trick you. You may think they hate you or they don't like you. I'm sure it's not true, but you may think that, but they want you to do well. The SAT does not want you to do well. So how do they try to trick us? How does the SAT try to trick me? So, Alvin, what color is this television set? Yes, it is white. Say the word silk 5 times. Silk, 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 silk. All right, and tell me this. What do cows drink? Oh, you're supposed to say milk, Alvin, not water. Can't trick me, he says. Good, but Alvin, do you see how I tried to trick you? Now the SAT is going to try to trick you in a different way. Obviously, I'm trying to trick you by priming you with the color white and by priming you with words that rhyme with milk. How does the SAT try to trick us in a typical math problem? Let's take a look. Alvin, Edward, I'd like you guys to give this question a try. Give you 30 seconds. Okay, Alvin, you've got an answer, or am I tricking you? Alvin, instead of thinking about what the right answer is, can you tell me what some of the trap answers are? or maybe in another way, could you tell me how the SAT is trying to trick you? Yes, 45 is a trap. And 45 is a trap because you think, oh, if we discount it by 20% and then we discount it by an additional 25%, the total discount is cumulative. But you can't add percentages like that. So let's do it this way, Alvin. Let's pretend we have the most expensive greeting card in the world. Let's say it's a $100 greeting card. If we discount it by 20%, what's the new price? $20 of 100 is 20. Edward, thank you. The new price is 80. Now, Edward, we want to discount it by an additional 25%. Now the new price is going to be 60. So what is our total decrease? Total decrease of $40, which is a total decrease of 40%. And that's very easy to calculate because we picked an initial value of $100. Yes, excellent. Very well done, Mr. Kent and Mr. James. Good work. So you see, part of cracking the SAT is, yeah, I've got to learn how to do math. I've got to learn how to read quickly, but also I've got to learn how does the test expect me to screw up. I've got to learn how does the SAT try to trick me. We're going to do a couple of sample problems here, and I'm going to show you guys a cool math strategy. So let's take a look at this problem. It's supposed to read x squared plus 8x plus 12. I'll give you guys 30 seconds to go ahead. Taking us a while to solve this question here. Now, the way a lot of students want to solve this question is that they take the answer choices and they expand them. They FOIL them. And then they say, okay, I want to find which one of these answer choices looks like the original expression that we were given. I'm going to teach you guys a different strategy here. Let's pretend that x is 2. Now, if the reason that I can make x 2 is because I have variables in the answer choices and I have variables in the original expression. Because of that, it doesn't matter what x is. I can make x anything. So I'm going to pretend that x is 2. If x is 2, guys, what's the value of the original expression we were given? Oops. Well, 2 squared is 4. 8 times 2 is 16. And then 12. And if we add these together, we get 32. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for 32. So now let's plug 2, which is our x value. Let's plug that into the answer choices and let's see what we get. Well, if we plug this into the first answer choice, Alvin, what do we get? What do we get for answer choice A? So we're going to get 36, and that's not what we're looking for. So I can safely eliminate answer choice A. Now, if we look at answer choice B, we see that it's going to get larger than 36 because we're going to add 4x. So I don't even have to do the math. Answer choice B is out. If we do answer choice C here, see what we get. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. We're going to get 32, which is exactly what we're looking for. And if we look at answer choice D, we can see we're going to subtract a larger number. We're going to subtract 8. We're going to get something smaller than 32. So it can't be D. So we're left with C. There we go. All right, let's keep going here. We've got another problem. It says, the equation above gives the amount P in dollars that an accountant charges for a job that takes T hours. Adam and Billy each hired this accountant. The accountant worked 3 hours longer on Billy's job than on Adam's job. How much less did the accountant charge Adam than Billy? So let's see, we've got an equation here. P equals 50 plus 25T. And we've got 2 students, A and B, Adam and Billy. So what we're going to do is we're going to make up numbers. I'm going to pretend that T is 2. Let's see. He worked 3 hours longer on Billy's job than he did on Adam's job. So if he worked for 2 hours for Adam, that means he worked 5 hours for Billy. If we compute the P values here, we can see that he charged $75 more for Billy. Done. All right. Well, let's take a look at our next. Oh, here we go. Moon, if you're here, there's some slides.
Yeah. All right. So before we move on further, hopefully you all are finding this masterclass helpful and hopefully you're understanding what Jeffrey's trying to teach you all. So circling back to why choose Leapscholar's SET Select batch. So what are we offering here? Let me just take you through that. The first thing that we offer is interactive classes, right? Like this webinar is just a glimpse of exactly that the class is interactive. You can talk, you can ask about your doubts anytime you wish to. We have one-on-one sessions with customizable timings. What this basically means is that we understand that your schedules can be a little too hectic, and that's why we have one-on-one sessions that are specific to your schedule with 75 plus hours of live classes. So no one else in the market will be able to give you 75 plus hours of live classes. That too, our classes are live, very interactive, and they're not just recorded, but they're live. Moving on to the next slide. Yes. So the fourth point is that personalized study plan. So now I understand that in today's generation we all do make plans, but we all rarely tend to follow them. But we will sit with you and make a personalized study plan that we follow throughout, so that our syllabus before your attempt is completed, before you actually complete your course, with 24/7 doubt solving. And yes, that is true. Anytime there is a doubt that pops up in your head, you can ping any of our faculty members or us, and our team will help you through that doubt. With 10,000 plus practice questions available for you to practice. So what better way to actually prepare for ICTs than actually solving the question? And you have 10,000 plus ready for you to solve. Moving on to the next slide. I think we can move to the next slide. Yes. We have 33 plus mock tests with detailed feedback. So in case of the 10,000 plus questions, we also provide 33 mock tests, which are exactly how SAT papers are based. So you get real-time experience on how actually SATs are going to look like and how the experience of the exam is going to be like, with lifetime access to recordings of all of our classes. So let's just say you finish our course and you finish your attempt, but you're not happy with the score you've achieved. You can still come back and review all of these recordings that we will be uploading on the student portal. of your concepts. Having said all of that, moving on to the next slide. Yes, so we also provide revision sessions. So basically, before your attempt, we sit with you, we brush up on all the concepts that we've learned from the syllabus so that you're very well equipped before entering the exam hall. The price for the same is on your screen. It's only for 7,999 dirhams. This is in UAE currency. If you all need us to change the currency or if you all need the conversion rates, well, we can provide that as well. If any of you are interested in joining our SET Select batch, you can let me know in the chat box and you can type down your name and my team will be able to pick it up from there. And I think having said all of this, I will let Jeffrey get back to his SET question. Thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry, just forgot about the last slide. Right, so we also have a Discord community. So we understand that most of your generation uses Discord for gaming or for other things. Well, now we have Leap on Discord as well. At our Discord server, you can get in touch with our team, get in touch with fellow students preparing for SET throughout the world, and you can interact with our faculties and also have doubt solving channels available for you anytime you want. And it's absolutely free to register. You can click on the link in the chat box, or if you're watching this live on YouTube, there is a description box where the link for the Discord is available. So thank you so much for listening, and yes, let's get back to SAT questions. Thank you.
All right, only a few more questions here. This one tells us the arithmetic mean of Q and 10 is S. If the average of 2S and R is 10, then what is the average of Q and R? So let's see here. The first sentence tells us the arithmetic mean of Q and 10 is S. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate that. That means that Q plus 10 divided by 2 is S. So you remember from our last couple of questions that we're going to make up numbers here in order to solve these. So I'm going to pretend that Q is 2. Now, if I pretend that Q is 2, we can go ahead and plug that in and solve for S. And we're going to get 6. 2 plus 10 is 12. 12 over 2 is 6. Now let's look at the next bite-sized piece here. The average of 2S and R is 10. Oh, interesting. 2S plus R divided by 2 is 10. Now we know that S is 6. So if we plug in S for 6 and calculate R, you can see we're going to get a value for R. We're going to get that R is 8. We are cruising along here. Let's take a look at the next chunk of this question. It says, what is the average of Q and R? Oh, well, we have a Q value of 2. We have an R value of 8. And if we add them up, we're going to get 10. Sweet. Answer choice B. Right? No, because the question is asking for the average of Q and R. So we have to divide by 2. And we're going to get 10. Oh, sorry. We're going to get 10 over 2, which is 5. So there we go. Continuing with our strategy of making up numbers and solving these questions here. All right, this is a fun one. Let's see. It says, the cost of purchasing B bottles of water at a music concert is $D. What is the cost in dollars of purchasing 10 B bottles of water? So let's see. I have B's and I have D's. What numbers should I make up? Now remember, we want to make up numbers that make the math easy. The cost of purchasing B bottles of water is $D. I'm going to say that the cost of 5 bottles of water is $10. Now, why did I pick those numbers? Because this means that the cost of one bottle should be $2. B is not dollars, B is bottles here. So now, very easy. The question says, what is the cost in dollars of purchasing 10 B bottles? Well, I can cross out 10B because that's not what we're buying. B is 5, 10 times 5 is 50. So the question becomes, what is the cost of purchasing 50 bottles? Well, if each bottle is $2, the cost of 50 bottles is 100. So I'm going to circle that because that's the answer. But that's only going to be the answer if B is 5 and D is 10. So now let's plug 5 and 10 into the answer choices. And let's see which of these answer choices gives us 100. So let's go ahead and plug that into A. 10 times B over D. Well, 10 times B, 10 times 5 is 50. 50 over 10 is 5. That is not what we're looking for. Cross it out. Answer choice B. 10 times B times D over B. So that's going to be 10 times 5 times 10, which is going to be 500. And then 500 over B, which is 5. 500 divided by 5 is 100. That's what we're looking for. So it's probably B. Let's put a squiggle and let's keep it. And let's check C and D here. Answer choice C is supposed to say 10B squared D. Let's see. 10B squared D, that's going to be 10 times B squared is 25 times D, which is 10. This is not going to give us 100. It's going to give us something way too big. So I'm going to cross it out. Answer choice D is supposed to say 10B squared over D. Let's think about what this is going to compute. B squared would be 25. 10 times 25 is 250. 250 over 10 is going to give us 25, which is not what we're looking for. So the answer has to be B. Done. Gitanjali, I see you just joined. How's everything going? Do you have any questions? Any concerns about anything that you have seen so far? Maybe they'll type something later. Either way, we have two more problems coming up. This one is a doozy. There are a lot of trap answers here. So let's get to it. It says, a busboy is stacking glasses to carry back to the kitchen. One glass is 13.5 centimeters, but when two glasses are stacked together, the second glass protrudes or sticks up 5 centimeters above the first. Which of the following functions represents the height of a stack of n glasses, where n is a positive integer? So we have two variables here. We have n and we have f of n. Now n represents what? N represents the number of glasses, and the f of n represents the height. So let's pretend we have two glasses. Now let's go back through the problem and think about how high this would be. Well, one glass is going to be 13.5 centimeters. And then if I have a second glass, it's going to stick out 5 centimeters above, which means that the height is going to be 18.5. Oh, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug n in as 2, and I'm going to see which answer choice gives me an F value of 18.5. So let's see if I plug in 18.5 as my F of n value. You can see that's what I've done here. I've taken my F of n and I've made that 18.5. And then I have taken 13.5n and I have plugged in 2 for n. So is this a true statement? 18.5, is that equal to 13.5 times 2? No, it's not. So answer choice A is out. Let's look at B. Let's look at B. 18.5 is my F value. And what am I going to get here? If I plug in 2 for n, 2 times 8.5 is going to be 17. 17 plus 5 is 22. That is not what we are looking for. How about answer choice C? Let's plug in those values. And what do you know? If I plug in an F value of 18.5, and if I plug in an N value of 2, we do indeed get what we are looking for. 18.5 equals 18.5. That is a true statement. So I'm going to keep C and just check D. We plug in our values. What do we get? Well, we're going to get 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 13.5 is 23.5. It is not what we're looking for. So the answer has to be C. Excellent, excellent. So there you have it. A very difficult SAT math problem made much easier by making up numbers. This is our last problem here. Very difficult question. Let's tackle it together. One second. All right. The distance in meters that a satellite in orbit travels can be modeled by the equation d equals 25s times the square root of s, where s represents the seconds that the satellite has been traveling. Okay, s represents seconds. Which of the following expressions represents the average speed of the satellite in meters per second? Okay, very difficult question. Many students read this and simply go, they throw their hands up in the air and go, I can't solve this. I have no idea what's going on. Have no fear. We know that because we have variables in the answer choices, we can make up values for the variables. What would be a good value of s to make up? Before you answer, take a look at the expression that we are given. Got square root of s. So let's pick a number that we can take the square root of. Let's pretend that s is 4. If s is 4, let's think about what that means. That means that the satellite's been traveling for 4 seconds. Let's plug that into the equation and see what we get. D equals 25 times 4 times the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. What are we going to get here? We're going to get 200. So what does this mean? It means that if the satellite's been traveling for 4 seconds, the distance it has traveled is 200 meters. Well, wait a minute. What's the formula for speed or rate? Well, that's just distance over time. Distance over time. And we know how long it has traveled. It has traveled 200 meters. And we know for how long it has been traveling. It has been traveling for 4 seconds. So that tells us that the speed, that tells us that the speed is 50 meters per second. Fascinating. 50 meters per second. So now I just want to plug in 4 into the answer choices, which was our value of S. And I want to see which one is going to give us 50 meters per second. And look at this. If we plug it into answer choice A, we're going to get 10. Because 5 times the square root of 4 is 10. Answer choice B is going to give us 50, which is what we're looking for. Answer choice C is going to give us 12.5. And answer choice D is going to give us 100. So there we go. An incredibly obtuse or difficult to understand math problem made way easier by simply making up numbers. Who would have thought, right? All right, so that's the end of the portion of the presentation on the SAT and an introduction to the SAT math strategy that makes the test so much easier. So I'm going to hand it back to Moon here, and she's going to tell you a little bit about counseling.
Yes, so thank you so much for that incredible masterclass, and hope you all, learn something new today from us. Hope these tricks are going to help you further succeed in your ICTs. So coming back to our undergraduate counseling, yes, at LEAP we do not only just have courses for SAT, but we also provide undergraduate counseling. Now, what do we take up in all of this? So the first things first is profile building. At the beginning of the masterclass, we were talking a bit about how your profile development is actually very important. So in profile building, we help students get registered into clubs that are affiliated with because we get confused between which college should we actually be choosing, career, whether or not this is the perfect choice for me. Well, you don't have to worry about that because our mentors will sit with you and make a priority list about it. We also give help in personal statements, self recommendations, and supplemental essays, which are actually a very essential part of your college application. So, when you sit to write personal statements, our mentors are going to brainstorm ideas about your personal statements. We're also going to help edit out your personal statements and your essays as well as your letter of recommendation. We also give advice on scholarships and we also help with financial aid. So, of course, abroad education can be a little bit on the expensive side. Well, for that, we also help our students get into scholarships. We also help our students with financial aid if that's something that they're looking forward for. Last but not the least, we also give visa assistance. What that basically means is that we help our students through the entire documentation procedure of their visa, as well as help them with mock interviews so that they're more than capable of succeeding in their final visa interview. Having said all of that, I think we can move to the next slide before I finish up about counseling. Yes, so like I was telling about, a team of mentors that we already have. Well, I would like to introduce one of them to you. We have Arian on the list of the mentor panel. She is a graduate from Harvard herself, and of course, you know Harvard. It's ranked top third in the world. It's also an Ivy League college. She's also a graduate from Georgetown University, and Arian is more than capable in helping you get into top schools in the world. Moving to the next slide. I think we can move to the next slide. Yes. So, I've been talking about what we provide at LEAP and the kind of quality that we're trying to give to our students. Let me give you a glimpse of where our students have reached through our help. So, our students have been admitted to Yale, to Wharton, to Cornell, all three of them being Ivy League colleges. We also have students at New York University, at University of Southern California, UC Berkeley, University of Michigan, Carnegie Mellon, UC San Diego, University of Illinois, Duke, Emory. Now, almost all of these are ranked under top 35 in the global rankings of university. So you understand by this the kind of quality that we're here to provide to our students and to make sure that they achieve their dream college. Having said all of that, let us move towards the next slide. Yes, so like we were discussing our mentorship programs, we have 4 of them. The first one is the Ivy Advising Program, specifically tailored for those students who have targeted Ivy League colleges for their career. We also have the Global Advising Program that is for universities throughout the world. We have the Media Advising Program specifically for profile building and college shortlisting. And we also have a specific profile building program if that is something that you are into for helping you build your profile. The prices for all 4 of these mentorships are listed respectively. And if any of you are interested in joining either our SAT course or our counseling program, you can let us know in the chat box and our team will be able to help you through it. Having said all of that, is there another slide? Yes. It's basically to ask if there are any questions. Gitanjali, you're here. Any further questions you would like to ask us regarding SATs or regarding colleges or applications? If, you would like to ask us. If not, then we can end the session here. Maybe give you 10-15 seconds to pop up with questions. Oh, you don't have any questions. All right, so thank you so much for joining in and hope you had a lovely session with us. We have master classes every single week on Monday and Wednesday, and we have specific webinars on undergraduate admissions abroad on Fridays. So see you all there. Until then, please keep taking care of yourselves. Thank you.